And if I could ask everyone to just mute before we get going, and also if you could turn off video, that would be also helpful. Thank you.
There's no telling that I'm in New York by all the sirens that you hear in the background. Right?
I was just thinking that. And it's somehow, this is terrible. This is actually really terrible. And I know I shouldn't say it, but it somehow makes me feel bad. You know?
Right at home. Right at home.
So Dayna, I think people are still coming on, but you have so graciously given your time that I want to get started, if that's
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
And so, first of all, I want to welcome everyone to today's program. We're so excited to have you and our special guest of honor. This program is brought by a program that's near and dear to me, which is Friends of FIT, which is a program that we launched last year to allow many of us to not only support the amazing programs at FIT in terms of continuing to be the leading center of learning and fashion innovation, but also allows us to engage, not just really. I mean, it's such a pleasure to have something where you can actually be an active participant in addition to being a supporter and fan of FIT. For those who don't know me, I'm Mona Ebelnega-Kanan. I have the great privilege of being a trustee of FIT and doubly privileged to welcome a terrific FIT alum and board member, Dayna Isom Johnson. Dayna, thanks so much again for joining us. I cannot begin to tell you my level of excitement over having an hour with you. And just thinking about all the things you've already done, at such a young age. I mean, I have literally a billion questions for you, so I'm going to try to calm down and keep it to an hour. But I guess, I think everyone knows that you are a trend expert at Etsy. You're a judge on NBC's Making It. You're just, in general, sort of fabulous.
Oh my God.
So why don't we, out of selfish interest for FIT that I know we all love, why don't you take us back to how did it come to you? Why did you decide to come to FIT? What did you get out of your years at the school, and how that defined you on a moving forward basis? And as you may know, we not only have many fans of FIT on the line, but we also have a number of alums and students. And so you're certainly an inspiration for them.
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, it means so much to me. I love FIT. I love my experience that I had there. And really, it all started. I grew up in a very small town, like the smallest town that you could possibly think of. It's called Louisa County, Virginia. My cousins were my neighbors. I lived on a dirt road. I was very much a country girl. But I always just had a dream of wanting to move to New York. And at that time, because I didn't really have access of knowing all the different types of careers that you could have in fashion, I immediately thought in my small town mind, I'm going to be a buyer. I love clothes. I can't draw. So that's what you do then. You become a buyer. And I'm so grateful that when I came to FIT and I believe the major is different now, but during my time, it was fashion merchandising management. That's what my degree was in. And I quickly learned that when you're a buyer, that means lots of Excel spreadsheets and lots of math. And it's not, the majority of your
not
job,
as glamorous as you thought.
Not as glamorous. And math was not a favorite subject of mine. So I learned that was not going to be my future. But I did quickly learn, thanks to, and I'm not sure if he's still there or she's still there, but two professors that really changed my way of thinking. Bob Schultz, whose class was called Strategies of Selling, and Sean Carter, whose class was Global Marketing, I believe. And the two of them really changed my mindset, and my passion for, oh wow, I can sell things, and I love selling things, and that doesn't necessarily mean selling on a sales floor at a department store or wherever that may be. And then Sean Carter's class made me think outside the US marketing box. And so that's what kind of tickled my fancy for things outside of my original dream of being a buyer.
And we kept you in New York.
And well, you lost me for a bit. I did my first job, well, not my first job, but my first corporate job was a corporate trainee at the Chico's FAS brands.
Right, I saw.
And that took me to Fort Myers, Florida for about 7 months until I was driving myself Florida crazy and was itching to get back to New York, and then I came back.
Right. So tell me, because this sounds like the best job in the world. What is a trend expert at Etsy, at anywhere? And how did you become it? I mean, it sounds so fabulous. And yet at the same time, of course, someone like me also thinks like, oh my gosh, how do you even begin? Like there's so much pressure. And so tell us a little bit about your path there, what it is, how can you become one?
Yeah. So it's my path is not a traditional one, that's for sure, because in my previous path, I was doing marketing and PR. And I kind of stumbled across this little place at that point that was called Etsy. And it was at a point in my life where the internet was starting to buzz. And I said, oh, I think I want to move into the digital space. And I bought a gift off this place called Etsy. And now like they have this job opening. So maybe I'll give it a go. And so I went to Etsy initially being a part of the marketing and PR organization. And it was really kind of crazy. So I was in the middle of training someone else. And, as a PR person, you write most of the messaging. You are really helping deliver what the brand wants to share with the world. So I had written out this messaging for this person to go on Good Morning America. And it was the very first time we had ever secured a national TV segment. And it was on weddings, one of my favorite categories. And I wrote out the messaging and I wrote out everything for this person. And at the last minute, they were not able to go on. And I was working at the time with our PR partners at M Booth Agency, who I love, by the way, they're a wonderful agency. And I said to my partner, I said, oh my God, what are we gonna do? As a PR person, you do not give up Good Morning America. That's just what you don't do. It's like a once in a lifetime type of thing, especially not being paid. So she assured me, she said, Dayna, it's okay. We've got somebody. I said, no, we don't, girl. What are we gonna do? And she said, you're gonna go on. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, you wrote all the messaging. You're the most passionate person about this. You can do this. And she really believed in me. And the very next day, I went on Good Morning America and talked about what was popular on Etsy for weddings. And it truly lit a fire inside of me. And I was like, oh, this is what I should be doing. Yeah, I love PR and it's cool, but like, it's not what makes me get up every day. I just did it because I thought I was pretty good at it. So the next day when I went back to Etsy, I approached my supervisors and I said, hey, listen, I think we have a real big opportunity with what just happened yesterday. I want to be able to share not only the narrative of these small businesses that otherwise don't have a voice, but I want to talk about what people are engaging with on Etsy, because we are unlike any other shopping destination where you literally have a little bit of everything, and it is a collection of the most unique items out there, because there are essentially 3.7 million small businesses exploding with creativity. And so they said to me, well, if you can turn this into something that makes it good for the brand, then you can give it a go. And so for the next 6 months, I started working with our data analytics team, really digging into things like WGSN and Trend Bible, those massive reporting sites, and then comparing them to what's happening on Etsy, and started writing these trend reports, which were posted on our blog. And then it turned out to be something really cool and something that people were invested in. And so fast forward, let's see, I'm 4 years into this, fast forward 4 years, and I'm still going.
Going with a lot more to go.
Yeah.
I love everything about that story, and I think it's something you would hope for yourself, you would tell your kids, certainly an FIT student, I hope is just, sometimes life is just just a bunch of accidents that are hopefully happy accidents.
Yes.
And more importantly, no matter what they are, that they're situations that you take charge of. And I love that it happened. You had a great supporter and you did it. You just did it and you grabbed it. And I think a lot of people might have been, too scared to do it. You did it. You had a good supporter that gave you, helped, make it happen, or help that you could do it. But more importantly, you also, took it from there and went in and created something at Etsy, which I think is actually, the most important part of, taking the opportunities and moving forward. Etsy has become like a movement, right? Like it's not only a great place that we all love, to get that special something that, but it's also, and I, very much connected obviously to this past year and the global trauma, crisis, disaster that this, pandemic has wrought on many, so sadly. But, Etsy has been, sort of like a comfort zone, right? Of being able to get things that make you happy, but also really such a great supporter and avenue for small businesses.
Yes.
And hopefully, and I'd love for you to tell us if this is true or not, hopefully more of an equalizer and opportunity for businesses and entrepreneurs and artisans that may not otherwise have that opportunity. So I'd love for you to talk about Etsy and the amazing work that you've done with small businesses and certainly minority-owned businesses.
Absolutely. So, gosh, 2020, what a year, right? Geez. But I think there were two different opportunities, right? So from the buyer aspect, the consumer aspect, we certainly served as a place of joy for many people, right? Because they were able to create, like, look at both of our backgrounds right now, right? This matters now. It didn't matter 2 years ago. And so for Etsy, we really became a destination for people to swiftly change, whether it's a nook in their home or they were buying fold down desk for their children or for themselves that could easily be tucked away at the end of the day. Or they wanted baking starter kits. Like, we had so many people purchasing sourdough bread kits, tie-dye kits, paint by number kits, all of these things that were really allowing people to express their creativity at home, and to make these swift updates that really brought balance and boundary into their home life, right? So that's on the shopping side. On the small business angle, it was, I mean, insane of people who were either furloughed, lost their job, or just really needed a creative outlet. And I think of a few stories that come to mind. One, there's a teacher, I forget the name of her shop, but she's a social worker for a school. And so she was, of course, being inundated with these horrible feelings, whether it be from the children or from the parents. And she decided to start an Etsy shop and sell all of the paintings that she was doing at home that were expressing how she felt during that particular time period of the week, of the month, or whatever. And she turned it into a full-fledged business, which is insane. Then I think about this other story of this incredible artist who I love, who's an interior decorator by day, but she, of course, couldn't travel to people's homes or to businesses. And so she had to figure out something to help provide income for her family. And so she started pivoting and making earrings and keychains and all of these things. And she was discovered, and sales just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. And she's able to support her family. And then the last example that I think was really pivotal, especially for 2020, is there's so many fashion designers on Etsy. And of course, no one was getting dressed like, you're in your athleisure, or I like to call it your Zoom leisure looks, right? Where you're sophisticated from above the keyboard, and then you've got your sweats on the bottom. Well, this particular fashion designer, domestic, his name is Ruben Rule. He's incredible. He makes very high-end fashion, and he pivoted his business and used all that incredible fabric that he would typically use for a woman's blouse or dress, and started making these over-the-top face masks that are high fashion and beautiful, and had these dripping bows and this incredible fabric. Oh, he's great. Like, for everyone who doesn't know Ruben, domestic, DEMESTIK. And he was just really able to pivot. So, there were just a lot of opportunities, and I'm so proud, and I'm so thankful that we are a destination that, no matter how you want to express your creativity or the need to do it, that you can do it with only 20 cents and an idea. Yeah. That's all it takes to start a business.
Yeah. And what I love about last year, there's a list we can all make of all the terrible things that happened last year, but I try to not go through that list and try to focus on the good things. Yeah. And what I love, and Etsy certainly, has been really at the forefront of this, is not only have we all thought about small businesses more, minority-owned businesses more, but those same businesses have said, it's not enough for you to say that you love us in general, buy from us. And so I'd love, what do you think on a going forward? I mean, this was a special time where we're all, stuck in our homes a little bit more than normal, had different needs, perhaps. Yeah. Certainly. Yeah. What do you think about that? Are you seeing that, trend? And then I want to get into other trends that you're thinking about. Do you see that from a business perspective, that support of small businesses, minority-owned businesses, custom made, limited edition, those kind of things, continue on into the future?
For sure. I mean, for so long, it's been a sea of sameness, with these, just everything looking the same. So I think shoppers, one, come to Etsy because they want to find that special, unique thing, and be able to shop globally, because we have shops all over the world, in almost every country. So that's one part of it. Part two, for supporting minority-owned businesses, this has been a tremendous passion of mine, because, again, as a global community of creatives, it's very important for me to make sure that we are showcasing every single type of business from a creative, no matter what your background is. So this actually wasn't something brand new that we were doing. We've been supporting diversity from day one. I mean, especially when you look at 83% of our businesses are female owned. So that's wow. One part. And then in terms of other minorities, well, I can't share those numbers with you quite yet. We're working on it. But we wanted to make sure to bring those to the forefront. So we have a Black-owned shops page. We have a Latinx own shops page, to make sure that for those people who want to make sure that they are directly affecting these communities and supporting these communities, that there is a page that supports that. And it goes beyond the page, but that is just a curated selection of what we're finding top of the moment.
That's amazing. That's great. That's something to be proud of, right? I mean, not only is it fun, but it's something very powerful, and it really does feel kind of like a movement. You know, I know when I've seen your CEO speak, or certainly hearing you speak, it's a powerful, passionate thing. So at the end of last year, you published an article on trends for this year.
Mm-hmm.
And my kids, who all four think they are trendsetters, and are utterly appalled by me. I think we're proven correct, because I went into my closet and honestly, there is not one sky blue item that I could find.
That's okay.
So tell us about the trends, the most dominant trends that you're seeing. And it's already been over a month since you wrote that piece, 2 months since you wrote that piece. And everything from, how do you come up with a color of the year?
Yes.
How do you, like, in your day's work, how do you come up with these trends?
Yeah.
And is that through numbers, through things you're seeing in your business and other businesses? And how is it impacted by perhaps an overlay of what you'd like to see?
It's really a combination. And to be honest, I try to remove myself from every trend report, because, to be fair, I can't just report on the things that I like. That's not a true representation of the community as a whole, right? So the second piece is, everything that I release is always data-based. So that data is directly taken from Etsy. So where it starts is, I'll take a look at, okay, what is the outside world predicting? Like the WGSNs, the trend Bibles, the forecasting agencies from abroad, right? And then I'll work with our data analytics team and say, hey guys, what have our shoppers been truly engaging with, and what is spiking outside the norm? And that will really kind of be a true indicator as what is peaking, what's on the rise. And then the third portion is literally me just combing through the site, seeing what I see, what's new that wasn't there 6 months ago, what's new that wasn't there a year ago. And when it comes to colors, it's the same thing. We look at what numbers are being engaged with at the current moment that kind of sticks out. And I think what's really interesting about sky blue, listen, I said that it's the color of the year. I too don't own anything sky blue. It's not one of my favorite colors. It's the same way I felt the year that, what was that color? Ultraviolet. I hate purple. It's like one of my least favorite colors in the world, but I removed my own bias. But what I think is so interesting about the color sky blue and how it resonates with the present moment right now is that it is the color of optimism. It is truly the representation of, you look up to brighter days. You're looking forward to a better day, to a sunnier day. And I think all of us want that slice of optimism right now and positivity.
I'll buy it.
Yeah.
I need it. So tell me, as we, in the early stages of 21, what are obviously I'm curious to know what you think about the things that will be permanent fixtures or lasting trends, from 2020. What did you hate? What things did we all start buying and doing in 2020 that you hate, that you hope will never come back, that hopefully are gone? And what things do you think will stay with us?
Well, I'll tell you, the one thing that I think isn't going anywhere is comfort. Comfort, we've all grown to love this athleisure look. I call it Zoom leisure. And I don't think that we're anywhere near leaving that quite yet, because we're not leaving the home anytime soon. I think once the world starts getting back to the normalcy that we know it to be, then I think we're going to be on a roaring 20s moment. I think we're going to get dull up and it's going to be, you know, back to stilettos and
I was just
really
going to ask you, should I not throw away my heels? Because I'm really sad about that.
I don't think so. I think that there's some time. I still think we have some time, but I think comfort is still key right now. And in terms of the home, you know, we had just started. I think the difference between 2020 and 2021 for the home is we were all quickly pushed to pivot. It was like everything happened overnight from March 15th to like April 1st. Everyone was like, oh my gosh, the world is shut down. My kids are going to school here. I work from home. I have to do my gym classes from here. Oh, this has to be my sanctuary all at the same time. So 2020 was like, how can I quickly adapt? Whereas 2021, in terms of purchasing, is more about how can I intentionally create balance and boundary within my home. So that's when I started seeing spikes for room dividers, especially within a 70s motif, because the 70s has such a huge influence on, you know, the style of things right now. So bohemian, like this rattan mirror situation. So room dividers started seeing a big spike. These fold down desks started seeing a huge spike. Things like earrings had a huge spike on Etsy because people, again, as I look at both you and me, we are literally focused from the keyboard up. You have no idea what's happening below the keyboard. So that means that shoppers are really interested in how can I make myself more presentable, a bit more sophisticated and professional in this way up. So even headbands we saw have a tremendous spike as well.
Yeah, it's amazing though to think about, you know, as this period of time sort of elongates, you know, it's gone on longer than anyone expected. You know, what does this all mean for, you know, for retail? I mean, Etsy has done really well in this period, but what does this mean, you know, for luxury, for designers? I mean, you spoke about, you know, an emerging designer who, you know, was able to pivot, right? But you can't do that forever. What does this mean? Like, you know, I also believe it's going to be the roaring 20s, but you know, part of me sort of wonders, this has also been a period of time that people have really been introspective, right? And have thought about what really matters. So will we continue, even when we don't have to be locked in our homes, will we buy things in the same way at the same price? So curious.
I don't think so. I mean, I think that more than anything, this time has really taught us about significant connections that you have with people. And with those significant connections, what does that mean in terms of purchasing, especially gifting, right? I think in the past, when people purchase a gift, maybe they didn't put as much thought into it because it's just very easy to buy someone something quick, right? But now, because we value our relationships so much, we have seen like, oh my gosh, I miss my friends. I miss being able to like have dinner with my parents. I miss having my girls' trips, you know, all these things. So that's going to greatly influence the types of things that we purchase in terms of gifts. Then when it comes to ourselves, it's like, all right, do I really need to purchase all this stuff? Because also during this time, so many people purged.
Right.
So I think that when it comes to especially like fast fashion, do you really need all the stuff that you said you did? I don't know. I mean, I think, like you said, this time is just a time for us to all really digest. Do I need this? Who should I be purchasing for? Do I really need to spend that much money? It's I don't know. I don't know, but I do expect roaring 20s moment to come, but I don't know if that necessarily means let me spend $5,000 on something.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm so curious. I can make arguments either way. Um, um, Sorry, I just wanted to, a quick reminder, thank you, Melanie, that I'm so excited to get a chance to ask you all these questions that I forgot to tell everyone that they can put their questions into the chat box as well. So please do that. I'm sorry for hogging all of Dayna's time. But one of the things we haven't talked about is sustainability. And
Yes.
so I love why you said, sky blue. That actually, it makes me happy thinking about that, whether or not I normally would choose that color. And some of the other things, the pull down, the desks, having, multi-purpose rooms, making your home, being thoughtful about your home and how you use it, kind of thing. But what are your customers voicing to you or through their purchases? What do they say, what does that say about sustainability and whether or not we're going to use our purchasing power to advance an interest or the education of sustainable products? And obviously, FIT has been very much at the forefront, whether in textiles and technology, in innovating, fashion and other, creative things in terms of sustainability.
Well, I mean, at Etsy, it's also a passion for us. It always has been. It's a part of our DNA, really. And I think it was maybe 2 years ago we announced that we now offset all carbon emissions that happen during shipping. So basically, what that means is when you think about, okay, I've purchased a sweater, and that sweater is coming from Australia. There are several modes of transportation that happens in order for you to receive your sweater from Australia. It's on a plane, or it's on a boat, or it's in a truck. That means there's loads of carbon emissions that happen in between those two places. So at Etsy, we're making sure that we're either planting trees or focusing on solar panel systems that basically neutralize what was emitted from that carbon, from that offset. So that's part one of just part of our ethos. And then in terms of items, it is continuously rising that people are either searching for recycled, reused, sustainable, glass straws, any and everything that makes someone feel good about their purchase. And even in just my conversations with our seller community or customers one-on-one, people are just becoming more and more conscious with their purchases. So if they have the choice of choosing something sustainable, they're going to opt for that choice. Not all people, but a lot of shoppers.
I was just going to ask you, so would they pay up? Or is it the situation of, if I have these two things that are exactly the same, so but all things being equal, one has been made differently, or has sustainable goals, is a socially conscious company, or would I pay for that? What is your typical customer?
I mean, honestly, I think it's depending on the purchaser, because it's a total personal preference. But I can tell you that that shopper continues to grow. So, I can't say, oh, the average person, because I don't have that data, but I can tell you that there are lots of people who are continuously typing in the Etsy search bar, sustainable, recycled, reused, something like that. And you know what the other part of that is? So many people are now making the decision to shop vintage, because that's also a way of being sustainable, because you're not adding newness to the earth, but you're simply breathing new life into something from decades past. So purchasing vintage is also a great way to be a bit more conscious and sustainable.
For sure. We have a question from Danielle McMillan. As shopping local and finding unique items comes more and more to the forefront, are you seeing major retailers looking to collaborate more with the businesses on Etsy? Yeah. Are you helping scale that? You know, it's just also helping these businesses go beyond, right?
It is, and it's also not about, we have to make sure that these brands align well with us. So, you know, it's not about just having any and every partnership. We make sure that every partnership is thoughtful and that that particular company aligns with our ethos as well. I mean, I remember a couple of years ago, we partnered with Nordstrom. We had a holiday shop there. We've partnered with West Elm. Macy's had a moment where they were trying to be more supportive of small businesses. So we partnered with them. So, you know, it really just depends on what the company is about, what they stand for. And we have a partnerships team that really manages that.
So I want to ask you about making it.
Yeah.
So you have this amazing job. You have a lot to do on that front. I assume you have a life,
Yeah.
right? But then comes this. So tell us a little bit about how that came about,
Yeah.
how it was to do it. Certainly a super fun show. And you know, how do you balance all that? I mean, they're, I guess, related skills and abilities, and that you can leverage, you know, your day job with, you know, a pretty glamorous side job. But, you know, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so making it came to be, I was doing a lot of morning segments. So, you know, what's trending here was doing this, all that jazz. And NBC approached us and said, hey, we're doing this show with Amy Poehler, Nick Offerman. It's about crafting. Would Dayna be interested in auditioning for it? And I was like, what? Yes. So I auditioned just like anyone else. I special treatment. And then in the final kind of audition process, I was chatting with Amy and the other producers. And then I found out my husband and I were actually on vacation, and we were at why am I losing my words? The suitcase pickup. What's the word? Baggage claim.
I don't remember. I can almost remember that thing, but I haven't seen it in a while.
I know, that's what it is. It escaped me because I haven't been there in forever. But we were at baggage claim, and I get a phone call, and my boss at the time said, hey, I don't think you should leave the airport because you got to go to LA in a couple days. You got it. You're going to film the show. So I remember I ran like 3 laps around the baggage claim, screamed a little bit. They thought I was crazy, but I was like, I don't care. This is my moment. I'm going to scream as much as I want. And then we filmed the first season, and people they seem to love it. And I love it because it is, and I to be fair, I am a reality show junkie. I watch it all.
Is that right?
It's terrible. I love it all. But what I love so much about our show is that it's truly inspirational. It is a feel-good show. It is a family-friendly show. And I hope that people walk away from the show saying, hey, you know what? I think I could make that. Or I can make something like that. And really inspire people to be more creative and put their phones down and get something else.
Yeah, the show is sky blue, you know, like there's something about it that's very happy, you know, that there's just, you know, there's something about it which is very, just makes you walk away feeling good. So I think that's great. So is that something, you know, whether, you know, that kind of TV or, you know, media, is that something that we're going to see more of you in, or?
We'll see. I hope so. I love it. I love it so much. Really, whenever I do anything involved with TV, it is my goal to, first of all, make the person on the other side, the viewer, happy. I want to put a smile on someone's face, and hopefully at the end of whatever they're watching, they're inspired to either support a small business or get creative. That's my main goal.
Right. And what are additional goals for, for 2021? We've talked about, a bunch of the trends that you're seeing, some of the dynamics for some of your sellers as well as, customers. What else are you seeing, in terms of your work, in terms of in general, consumer driven businesses, e-commerce, et cetera?
In terms of trends, or just what I'm hoping to see?
What you're hoping to see. Actually, I want to put yourself into it rather than objective.
Oh, you got it. You got it. You know what? Honestly, I love, well, I guess I really have three jobs, but my job at Etsy that is about uplifting and supporting minority-owned businesses is a huge passion of mine, because I think about myself as a customer. When I shop somewhere, I want to see myself represented. I want to see myself represented in the ads, in the way the clothes fit my body, because I'm not a stick. And so I want representation. And so I want to make sure that the company that I represent is also showing what the world looks like, and not what one person or one style looks like. So I am very passionate about continuing that work and making sure that we are a leader in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And for making it, season 3 is coming soon. I can't give a date quite yet, but it's finished. We have a winner. So hopefully it'll be coming to TVs very soon. And then for trend-wise, I don't want supporting small businesses to be a trend.
Yeah.
I want to change people's mindsets. I want that to instead be the leader in ways in which people shop. Like, I want to find a piece of art for my home. I know I can go to Etsy and find a seller who can make a custom piece for me, or combine my favorite colors, or, I'm having a micro wedding. We didn't even talk about weddings. My goodness.
I know.
I'm having a micro wedding. I want the most creative and individualized experience for my 10 guests or 20 guests, who whatever that may be. So I just want people's minds to shift in terms of not thinking it's a trend, but thinking it's an everyday thought of, I want to support a small business.
That's great. A question from, I hope I'm saying this right, pronouncing right, Dolce Contact. How has your work changed during the pandemic, and how are you able to manage it all? But I mean, not only has it changed, but also I would add to that, how do you think it will be in whatever that new normal is that everyone keeps, talking about and thinking about?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Dolce. So how has my work changed? Oh my gosh. First, I'll say this. The number one thing that I had to do early on is I had to set boundaries on my phone and my computer, because I think for many of us, while we work from home, that means, oh, well, my laptop's right here, I might as well just keep going. No, quick burnout. It happened to me, and I had to set the boundary. So I don't know if people work on Slack, but you get ding, 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 all the messages. I set it after I had my first burnout. I set it so that I could not receive a ding before 9 a.m. and I couldn't receive a ding after 7:30. That might even be pushing it too. Maybe I should push an hour up. But the point is, I had to say to myself, I cannot be available 24 hours out of the day. That's not realistic, and it's going to just continue to burn me out. That was the boundary. In terms of my work, people's shopping habits changed. So typically, I would be writing about weddings right now, because
Right.
this is the start of wedding season. The way in which we think about weddings is not the same right now. But what is interesting that I think has always been a slight influence, but today it's heightened, where TV shows are greatly changing the way people are shopping. So I think about Bridgerton, right? Who loves Bridgerton? I do. I love it. I binged it very quickly. But after hearing the buzz of Bridgerton, I said, what are people shopping for after watching Bridgerton? Is it changing anything? And in fact, yes. So I started seeing, after maybe about 2 months or so of the show being out, this trend called Regency core, which is basically celebrating an aesthetic of like royal 1800s era themed items. So things like tea sets started spiking like bananas. Like what's my, oh yeah, 10% in searches in the last 3 months compared to last year for people searching for tea sets. People were searching for lace gloves. Lace gloves had a 744% increase in searches in the last 3 months, again, compared to last year. So my work changed because I started paying attention to different things. It's all about the mindset of be open enough to pivot and change your mindset.
I can, as you were talking about those, that's so interesting, that the things that are gaining interest, I can only imagine what Bling Empire is encouraging to me. That's a good one for ledger.
Oh, wow. Lots of diamonds. Lots of diamonds.
Lots of diamonds, lots of red. It's all good.
Right.
So we only have a few minutes left with you. And so obviously, on behalf, just looking at some of the people that are signed on, a lot of, entrepreneurs, a lot of new folks in the industry. What is your advice, in such a fluid time, such a challenging time, a sad time in some ways, in many ways, but also a time of opportunity. And we're hoping of greater, equity in every way. So what are your pieces of advice and takeaways to creators, to designers, to small business owners?
I think my biggest piece of advice is, especially when we have a business that is our own, it is our baby. We want it to be perfect. We want it to, make the biggest splash in the world. Of course we do. But do not put off today do not put off for tomorrow what can be today. So, something doesn't have to be picture perfect, especially when you are maybe starting your business on Etsy, right? As long as you have your inventory, it literally takes 20 cents in your idea to get your business started, to have access of eyeballs of millions of people around the globe who can search and find your unique voice of whatever it is that you're making. So don't get so bogged down by, I got to have the perfect Instagram picture. I got to have the perfect this. I got to have no, just make sure that your items are well photographed and that people can access it. They want it. You have a unique voice. Let it be heard.
Oh, this is amazing. By the way, you're getting lots of accolades in the chat. So, thank you. No, I mean, such an inspirational, exciting story. I do think you do have the best job in America. And I hope that
thank you.
Too, but most importantly, I cannot wait. I know everybody on can't wait to see what you continue to do, because you not only do it so gracefully and so beautifully, and and talking about trends and things, but also doing really substantive work about giving opportunities to all of us, not just a few, and that is something that is so exciting. And I know you'll join me, because I know how much you love FIT and how much work you do on behalf of FIT to really, encourage everyone. If you're not already a member of Friends of FIT, you should be. We hope that you'll continue to join us. We have so many amazing programs, even in this time where we can't be together. A big thanks to Phillips McCarty and to Melanie Koppel and to Samantha Riccio for helping us put this program together. In the chat, Melanie has been so kind as to include links to FIT to support our students who've had a really difficult time over the past year and continuing to do so. We support them, we support innovation. And we hope that you will continue to be with us in our future programs, both online as well as offline. Dayna, it has been really such an incredible treat to spend this time with you, to get to see you and hear about your career. And I know everyone, I've told them all to mute, so I'm sorry, but I know they would all be thanking you themselves. So wishing you good health, much continued success, and we're looking forward to an Etsy-filled future.
Thank you so much, and to all the students and alum out there, guys, just give it a go. Just give it a try. Whatever it is that you're wanting to do, what's the worst that could happen? It doesn't happen? Okay, you gave it a try. There's no regrets. Wishing you guys all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Be well, everybody.